All right. So, like I said, I'm just gonna hop right in. Cheat is your second feature film. You're switching gears from the coming of age story, the woodsy horror folktale that was The Long Dark Trail, and you're going for a more adult ghost story this time. Where did the idea for an unfaithful reckoning entity come from?
That's a good question. Yeah, I think we were looking for something relatable and universal. We knew we wanted to kind of explore kind of, this supernatural kind of ghost, if you will, antagonist. So it kind of started there, and then we were kind of toying around with different ideas of, what, could get people thinking maybe, or like press on some like, guilt kind of button maybe in certain people, where there's not only like the physical, but the, psychological kind of horror, if you will. So that's kind of where it started. And then Kevin and I were kind of tossing around some ideas, and, the idea of, you know, it's not really infidelity, I guess, because you don't necessarily have to be married, but this idea of kind of what that means, and is that ever justified, and what kind of different situations could we put people in that would maybe make them think about it, where it's not so kind of, cut and dry, I guess. So that's kind of a long-winded answer, but yeah, we threw around a couple ideas, and then we're like, we think this could work. Hopefully this will kind of connect with some people, and we could have some fun kind of doing it.
Yeah, I gotcha. No, one of the reasons I was drawn to it was I read a HuffPost article that said that like 65 to 75% of college students actually cheat on their significant other. So like immediately right out the bat, this drew me in as a fun sort of ghost concept, right? What type of reaction are you looking for from like the college crowd?
you know, Kevin and I are always kind of like, obviously we want people to enjoy it. We want people to have fun. We want to scare people at moments. We want people to kind of think about things, hopefully, and feel uncomfortable. Um, we always kind of talk about being careful to not tell people how we want them to feel about certain movies and stuff. We kind of like to leave a little ambiguity. We like to leave some open-ended kind of endings and stuff, but um I'd like them to be intrigued and kind of think, and maybe the thoughts haunt them more than the being, in a way. But yeah, I think, hopefully, like I said, I hope they have fun with it. I hope, there's some good scares, but also maybe just a little bit deeper resonating on the psychological, and just have people in general, not just the younger crowd, but people in general, kind of, what does that mean, and all that kind of fun stuff, without telling them how to feel, if that kind of makes sense.
No, that does. The other thing is, so for me, I love those old school like 90s adult thrillers like Perfect Murder, Disclosure, or anything else with Michael Douglas, I guess, Fatal Attraction, right? So
Yeah.
this feels a lot like that in a way, maybe with more of a supernatural element, which is something that we don't see a whole lot of. So I very much had a lot of fun watching this film.
Oh, thank
Um,
you.
yeah, no problem. Um, with the way the film goes, do you believe in the moral severity that comes from the secrets that are kept in the film?
Mm, that's a good question. Without giving too much away, um, we kind of like, again, I'm going to kind of repeat myself, but there maybe isn't a right answer. In a weird way, we kind of talked about how, our antagonist, you know, is there a moral kind of code that she's adhering to? Like, is she like an anti-hero in a way? Is there some justified kind of actions, or I don't know. I hate to say one way or another, but I think I think, and I hope, a lot of people deal with kind of maybe the morality of their decisions, especially when it comes to relationships. Um, and some people think you could cheat emotionally, and some people think it's just physical, and everything in between. So, I that doesn't answer your question, I know, but
No,
I,
it's okay. It's no, I get what you're saying though.
that's a tough one for me to give like a kind of a black or white kind of answer. I think I would say yes. I do think I have a moral compass, and I think everyone does to a certain degree. And yeah, hopefully that kind of plays with people's kind of emotions on what that means and where they line up within themselves, even a little bit.
One of the most interesting parts I found in the movie was watching Maeve, Charlie, and Elijah discuss how to beat the curse. Right? How do you brainstorm the rules of hoping to kill a ghost?
Oh, it was terrible. It was so hard. It's so hard, It's like, well, we talk a lot about like, first you want to kind of have the rules of like this ghost or this being or this creature, right? So like, what are its strengths? What are its weaknesses? What do you know about it? What don't you know about it? But it was hard. We like tried to watch a lot of movies and see how other people kind of handled it. um, I remember watching, The Ring and even It, whereas like when you have a ghost or a supernatural thing that maybe, you only see but nobody else sees, or, is it real? Is it not real? Can you touch it? Can you kill it? Does it bleed? All these kind of things where Kevin and I were just like, fuck, like just like kind of beating our heads a little bit about like what to do, but going back and watching those, I guess, did make us feel a little bit better, where we're like, okay, maybe we could kind of instill some kind of rules. We tried to keep it grounded, where they knew it was ridiculous a little bit. um I think like Charlie has a thing where he's like, great, I'll just do this now, that just seems easy. Versus like them really being like, okay, we're gonna win. So to answer your question, yeah, it was hard. We definitely brainstormed a lot. We went back and forth. Like I said, like kind of watching other movies made us feel a little bit better about our decision, and then hopefully grounding it. We tried as hard as possible to ground as much as we could. Um, so if it seems, like I said, in that particular moment where, it's definitely, a Hail Mary, that the cast the characters in that movie at that moment, they realize that this is a stretch, but their options are pretty limited.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of Charlie, you reteamed with Michael Thayer, who plays the hosting homeowner, and he plays Dwayne in A Long Dark Trail. Is Thayer the Campbell to your Raimi? Should we expect him in more projects
I
from
mean,
418?
I mean, he might be. He might become. He's one of our really good friends. We've known him forever. We all met out in Los Angeles. He's also a director and a playwright. Um, yeah, I think we're trying to kind of find our team. Find our little indie team, and you know, we think highly of him as an actor, and we like working with him. So I wouldn't see why not.
Final question for you. I feel like the you and Kevin are creating a sort of a scene for rural Pennsylvania filmmaking. Cheat comes on the heels of Long Dark Trails VOD release earlier this year. Do you guys know what your next project is going to be already?
Yeah, so Kevin moved back to Royal, Pennsylvania, where he's originally from. He had spent a long time in Los Angeles, like many of us, and we kind of found this like untapped resource there. Besides the beautiful landscape, um, and really great community that really was supporting us as filmmakers. So I think our plan is to kind of go back and explore more of that area. We really like shooting on location. We don't like necessarily shooting in Los Angeles or even on any kind of stages if we could help it. Um, and it's funny, it started out of necessity really, because Kevin had moved back home. We did the Long Dark Trail really as like a response to COVID, where, to be quite frank, I was losing my mind in my apartment in LA, like I'm sure so many people. And it was, basically no script, no plan, small crew, you know, go out there, figure it out, prep for 2 weeks, shoot for 2 weeks, and just be creative during COVID. And then from that was like, oh, there's something kind of here that's cool. So yeah, we're gonna try, fingers crossed, we're gonna try to do two next year, two more features, still in the horror, thriller kind of vein. And yeah, I guess that's probably all I could say right now, but hopefully we'll be shooting the first one early spring 2024. But yeah, we're trying to have our own little indie, kind of studio, I guess.
What is it about the genre that keeps you wanting to um try harder and do more in it?
You know, to be honest, I never thought we would be making horror movies. And it's funny because I watched an interview with John Carpenter, and he said he wanted to make comedies before Halloween. He was like, I thought I was going to make big, broad comedies. So I was like, oh man, that's interesting. And then, like I said, the first one with the Long Dark Trail was kind of out of necessity, because it was COVID. It was like, well, what's going on, what's safe, like outdoor in the woods, like limited, small town. It made sense. And then, to be honest with you, kind of like got somewhat embraced and kind of got to know the horror community a little more. And I think there's stuff and there's ways to mash like what we do good in that space, and hopefully like still grow with like combining genres a little bit more. I think it's a really actually a cool time for horror, where there's kind of these hybrid genre mashups. I know like Ari Aster is probably like one of the more kind of famous ones on a bigger scale, but even Ty West been doing it forever.
Mm.
And so yeah, I think maybe we started enjoying it more than we kind of thought or knew we would.
That's a great answer.
Oh, good.
Well, I wish you and Kevin all the best at Fright Fest. Cheat's great. I hope audiences dig it too. Thank you for doing the interview, and yeah, take care of yourself.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks for having me, and yeah, I appreciate you taking the time.
Tonight we celebrate Abby's life. While cut short, it's important to remember the good times. We're continuing to keep her and her memory alive through our Scholarship Foundation. We have a remarkable young woman who's the first recipient of that award, and she's here with us tonight.
You have such a beautiful home.
I'm sorry my wife couldn't be here to greet you. This whole thing's been really hard on me.
What happened with Abby? Another suicide. We have one of the highest suicide rates in the country.
I'm not saying the curse is real, but the story is.
What's the curse?
Clara Miller. She found out her father was having an affair. She decided to take matters into her own hands. Clara would kill anyone that cheated.
No one's listening. She didn't kill herself, you know that.
There's something you should know.
I think we're in danger. Something is coming for me. Hey, bitch! Jesus! I didn't think it was real. I didn't know. She's watching me. I think this town is cursed.
It's too late to stop her.